The Confessions of Saint Augustine, Book 3, Chapter 8. Can it at any time or place be unjust to love God with all his heart, with all his soul, and with all his mind, and his neighbor as himself? Therefore are those foul offences which be against nature to be everywhere and at all times detested and punished, such as were those of the men of Sodom, which should all nations commit, they should all stand guilty of the same crime by the law of God, which has not so made men that they should so abuse one another. For even that intercourse which should be between God and us is violated, when that same nature of which he is author is polluted by perversity of lust. But those actions which are offences against the customs of men are to be avoided according to the custom severely prevailing, so that a thing agreed upon and confirmed by custom or law of any city or nation may not be violated at the lawless pleasure of any, whether native or foreigner. For any part which harmonizes not with its whole is offensive. But when God commands a thing to be done against the customs or compact of any people, though it were never by them done heretofore, it is to be done alone. And if intermitted, it is to be disapproved, is by your testimony approved, and many by men praised are, you being witness, condemned, because the show of the action and the mind of the doer and the unknown exigency of the period severely vary. But when you on a sudden command an unwanted and unthought of thing, ye, although you have sometime forbidden it, and still for the time hide the reason of your command, and it be against the ordinance of some society of men, who doubts but it is to be done, seeing that society of men is just which serve you. But blessed are they who know your commands. For all things were done by your servants, either to show forth something needful for the present, or to foreshadow things to come. Chapter 10. These things I, being ignorant of, scoffed at those your holy servants and prophets. And what gained I by scoffing at them, but to be scoffed at by you, being insensibly and step by step drawn on to those follies, as to believe that a fig tree wept when it was plucked, and the tree its mother shed milky tears, which fig notwithstanding, plucked by some others, not his own guilt, had some Manichaean saint eaten, and mingled with his bowels he should breathe out of it angels, ye, there shall burst forth particles of divinity at every moan or groan in his prayer, which particles of the Most High and true God had remained bound in that fig, unless they had been set at liberty by the teeth or belly of some elect saint. And I, miserable, believe that more mercy was to be shown to the fruits of the earth than men, for whom they were created. For if anyone, and hungered not a Manichaean, should ask for any, that morsel would seem as it were condemned to capital punishment, which should be given him. Chapter 11. And you sent your hand from above, and drew my soul out of that profound darkness, my mother, your faithful one, weeping to you for me, more than mothers weep the bodily death of their children. For she, by that faith and spirit which she had from you, discerned the death wherein I lay, and you heard her, O Lord. You heard her and despised not her tears, when streaming down they watered the ground under her eyes, in every place where she prayed. Ye, you heard her. For whence was that dream whereby you comforted her, so that she allowed me to live with her, and to eat at the same table in the house, which she had begun to shrink from abhorring and detesting the blasphemies of my error? For she saw herself standing on a certain wooden wall, and a shining youth coming towards her, cheerful and smiling upon her, herself grieving and overwhelmed with grief. But he, having in order to instruct, as is their wont not to be instructed, inquired of her the causes of her grief and daily tears, and she answering that she was bewailing my perdition, he bade her rest contented, and told her to look and observe that where she was, there was I also. And when she looked, she saw me standing by her in the same rule. Whence was this, but that your ears were towards her heart? O you good omnipotent, who so cares for every one of us as if you care for him only, and so for all, as if they were but one. Whence was this also, that when she had told me this vision, and I would fain bend it to mean, that she rather should not despair of being one day what I was. She presently, without any hesitation, replies, No, for it was not told me that, where he, you also, there you also. But were you there he also? I confess to you, O Lord, that to the best of my remembrance, and I have often spoken of this, that the answer to my waking mother, that she was not perplexed by the plausibility of my false interpretation, and so quickly saw what was to be seen, and which I certainly had not perceived before she spoke, even then moved me more than the dream itself, by which a joy to the holy woman to be fulfilled so long after was for the consolation of her present anguish, so long before signified. For almost 9 years past, in which I wallowed in the mire of that deep pit, and the darkness of falsehood often essaying to rise, but dashed down the more grievously, all which time that chaste, godly, and sober widow, such as you love, now more cheered with hope, yet no whit relaxing in her weeping and mourning, cease not at all hours of her devotions to bewail my case unto you, and her prayers entered into your presence, and yet you suffered me to be yet involved and re-involved in that darkness.